Hello gamers and welcome back to my channel, Savage Universe here. We have to talk about Fortnite because obviously in the last week there has been a lot of casual players voicing their sort of frustration and their opinions towards the game and how they feel about the game as of late. Because I mean, I've had it as well. I've had some casual players who, some of my friends are casual players and do enjoy playing Fortnite. They do come up to me and tell me they feel that the game has lost its fun ways in the last, pretty much ever since Shock and Awesome. It seems to be a recurring pattern that ever since that season started, the fun side of Fortnite has been taken away to the point that more and more casual players are leaving the game and not wanting to play because they feel that sweaty players and competitive players seem to be basically making the game too sweaty for them to play the game, or too competitive for them to want to engage, because casual players don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with competitive play. They don't want to deal with sweaty players all the time. They want to be able to have fun with their friends. That's the whole gist of why they come to Fortnite, because they enjoy being able to play with their friends, or just being able to play in general Fortnite. And that's what brings them together pretty much to want to come to a game like this, because they feel that, this is like one of the games that they feel safe. In recent times, it's obviously that sort of notion has been changing ever since So of course, in terms of how casual players feel, they feel that mechanics haven't been particularly fun. They feel that the gameplay overall doesn't feel as fun as it used to be. And more importantly, they just feel that the sweaty players and competitive players are complaining too much, to the point that they're the reason why a lot of the fun was taken out of Fortnite. And also on top of that, there's a lot of scam maps that have come into Discovery where they're encouraging you to use Vbucks to access certain features, or to potentially give them a tip in the Discovery feature, which I think is just beyond ridiculous, that they're making these Discovery maps so that you can now add Vbucks in them, just to basically convince players to sort of use their Vbucks to access features, and then on top of that, when it comes to casual players, it's the whole Vbucks price increase. That's right, there's been a price increase for Vbucks recently, and the forum will obviously have a chance to discuss about that in this video, because not only did Vbucks get a price increase, but also one of the PvE mode of Fortnite, Save the World, is going to be going free to play very soon. I guess in a way it's caused a little bit of frustration to people who purchased the Save the World bundles, only to find out that now their game mode's going free to play because of some form of reason that they are saying is completely different to what the players think the reason why Epic are doing all these things are. So without further ado, make sure to like, subscribe, and let's begin, shall we, with the Vbucks price increase. So yes, so in recent times, particularly more specifically in the last week, Fortnite had announced that they're going to be having a price increase. So in other words, Vbucks is now going to have a bit of a price increase in the States specifically, even though surprisingly the UK are meant to be having the same price models for the Vbucks bundles. Whether that's true or not, we'll have to wait and see on Thursday, because by the way, these changes are going live with the new season on Thursday, which is called Showdown. So that's the name of the next season that will be dropping on Thursday. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Vbucks packs changes in terms of the tiers and how much you're going to be getting Vbucks wise going forward. So again, all these changes will be going live on Thursday. And I've also put an image here of the current price model, so you can see what the values are for Vbucks currently and how much it's changing come the next season. So currently, I guess the cheaper alternative is usually around the £7 price tag, which gives you 1,000 Vbucks. Well, unfortunately, that is going up in the States to $9 and will now be giving you 800 Vbucks. Yes, you're now going to have a decrease of 200 Vbucks is going to be your new cheaper option for V-Bucks, which means that that 1,000 V-Bucks that you really enjoy getting, that's no longer going to be an option for the V-Bucks pack tiers come Thursday, as they get rid of the option for you to buy 1,000 V-Bucks in the game starting this week. And then, of course, the next tier, which gives you 2,800. That's usually priced around priced around very similar to closely to the £15 price tag. That is now in the UK, but that is going up in the States to $23 and will be giving you 2,400 V-Bucks going forward. Yes, 2,400 V-Bucks is going to be the price tag for this second tier of the V-Bucks packs. Is now going to give you a little bit less than what you would normally get from the second tier. And then the third tier, it gave you 5,000 V-Bucks currently for around the £30 price tag in the UK, but that's going up in the States to $37, and you'll be getting 4,500 V-Bucks upon this Thursday. So yes, it's going to be dropping by at least 1,500 V-Bucks essentially, that's how much V-Bucks you're losing from the what is currently the 5,000 V-Bucks option. And then the highest tier, which gives you 13,500 V-Bucks, which usually is priced, obviously a very expensive bundle for V-Bucks, is now going to be even more expensive in the States, when it's priced at $90, and you'll be getting 12,500 V-Bucks, which is again a 1,500 V-Bucks decrease to what it is currently, which is just crazy, isn't it? It's crazy to think that we're getting few less of V-Bucks going forward. It's just insane to me, and I think it's obviously upsetting a lot of players who usually like to who really prefer the values that we got currently to the new values that we're getting, which, by the way, the exact amount is now going to be going to 99 cents, so it's going to be going up a little bit for 50 V-Bucks going forward. So that's for the exact amount packages of V-Bucks going forward is going to be around 99 cents for 50 V-Bucks going forward. Yeah, so these are the V-Bucks packs tiers price changes that are going on with Fortnite, and as you can tell, there's obviously a lot of mixed response to this news, to the point that Fortnite would even come out and say that despite they have heard the feedback, and there will be some more stuff about the new season to share later this week, or potentially soon. So possibly later this week, we're going to be hearing more about the new season that will hopefully, in Epic's size, will diminish the negative response towards the V-Bucks price changes, but we'll see what that is when we find out, when Epic reveals more about the new season this week, which obviously that's going to be in the next coming days, which we know Thursday will be the launch of this next season. They do go on to say that you'll get 20% off Epic rewards if you purchase through PC, iOS, or Android, or on the web. If you want to get V-Bucks, so you are going to get 20% off on your Epic rewards if you buy V-Bucks, of course, on the PC, on the web browser version of. Now, of course, the Battle Pass is also getting a price decrease. Usually it's 1,000 V-Bucks. It's now going to be 800 V-Bucks come this Thursday, but it will only reward you up to 800 V-Bucks upon completing it. And also, they do say that bonus rewards will not be including V-Bucks going forward. So when you do get the Battle Pass, don't be surprised about why there's no V-Bucks in the Battle Rewards, because they've even confirmed it in the article that there's not going to be any V-Bucks in bonus rewards come the new season on Thursday. So the only V-Bucks you're going to be getting are going to be on the main page of the Battle Pass going forward, which kind of sucks. But I think the only good thing about this is that the Battle Pass and the OG Pass is going to be 800 V-Bucks, which you could see that as a good thing, because it means it's going to be a little bit more affordable for people who usually don't get 1,000 V-Bucks. At least 800 V-Bucks is actually affordable to get your hands on those 2 battle passes if you want to get the rewards of the OG or the battle pass going forward. In regards to the music and the Lego pass, they're now going to be priced at 1,200 V-Bucks. Previously, they were 1,400 V-Bucks, so they are going down by 200 V-Bucks for the music and Lego pass. So that'll be at the start of the next battle passes for music and Lego. They're going to be priced at 1,200 when their next battle passes go live later in the season. So you have to wait and see on that. And then also on top of that, if you've got Fortnite crew, you're going to see a change in regards to your V-Bucks values, because currently you would get 1,000 V-Bucks, but as of the next Fortnite crew update, you're going to be getting 800 V-Bucks. Yes, and also, by the way, they've said that they're emailing Fortnite crew subscribers about the timing and details of this update, so they will let you know when you're going to start receiving 800 V-Bucks if you want to make the decision to remain a Fortnite crew member or potentially cancel, which, by the way, a lot of people have cancelled their Fortnite crews because of this change. But if you fancy keeping your Fortnite crews, then they're going to basically be emailing you very soon about when the 800 V-Bucks Fortnite crew updates are going to start happening. Now, of course, as well as this, they do mention that the battle bundles are now going to be dropping to 2,600 V-Bucks when that goes live on Thursday, which is when I talk about the battle bundle, I'm talking about the bundle that gives you the battle pass and 25 levels automatically. That will now be going to 2,600 V-Bucks when it goes live with the new season on Thursday. But however, though, they do say that if you want to try and get 1,000 V-Bucks, you can still buy the retail bundles of V-Bucks gift cards, because they will still redeem in their printed values. So if you happen to buy 1,000 V-Bucks from Amazon, for instance, you'll still be able to get your 1,000 V-Bucks that way instead of in the game itself. So I guess for most people, buying Fortnite gift cards are going to be the new way to get your 1,000 V-Bucks or your higher amount V-Bucks going forward, whilst the in-game values are going to be changing slightly due to, well, according to them, they're saying that they're saying that the cost of running Fortnite has gone up and they're raising prices to help pay bills, essentially. But from players' perspective, the reason why these changes are happening is because, well, there seems to be an all-time low in player engagement with Fortnite as of late, because of the fact that casual players are not playing as much as they should be. So because of that, a lot of players believe that the reason because of this change is because of the casual players leaving, because they're not enjoying the game, which you can definitely see the sentiment, because of the fact that especially a lot of Fortnite players have all been gravitating towards Art Raiders and all these other games like Resident Evil Requiem, etc. I mean, trust me, there's going to be a lot of cool games coming this year, so you can see why there's been a lot of interest to want to check out games like Art Raiders and Resident Evil Requiem lately. Even Helldivers, for instance. There's been a lot of, and also Overwatch getting a lot of excitement recently. You can see there's been a lot of buzz around these games because they seem to be getting a lot of attention more than Fortnite, and that's only because, because I've got many friends who are casual players, have all said the same thing, that they feel that Fortnite is just not fun to them anymore, and they're struggling to have reasons to stick around and play. They're even finding it hard to even want to do long game sessions on Fortnite anymore, because they know that at certain points of at certain times, they're going to have to deal with the sweats and competitive players who are going to ruin the matches for them, and rightfully so, because they want Fortnite to be competitive. They want Fortnite to be an esports, when a lot of players don't want that, because they would much prefer the more chilled aspect of Fortnite, where you can play casually with your friends. And that's what a lot of these players enjoy about Fortnite. It really sucks to see that these prices are happening, but at least the good things that are coming out from it is the Battle Pass and the OG Pass are going to be 800 V-Bucks, but at the same time, it does kind of sucks that Fortnite Crew's going to lose a little bit of its V-Bucks value now because of these changes that are now having to happen in order to apparently fund the company, essentially. But it doesn't stop there, because also a lot of players are also going to be upset because of especially if you're somebody who has brought the Save the World bundles that have come out in the recent years. Well, you'll be surprised to know that Save the World is going free to play on the 16th of April. So not too long after Easter, about roughly a week or so after Easter, is when they're going to be dropping this, and it'll be coming to PC, Xbox, cloud gaming, as well as Nintendo Switch 2. Yes, Nintendo Switch 2 players are going to finally be able to play Save the World for the very first time. Obviously, a lot of players are obviously rightfully upset because, you know, they spent money to get their hands on the Save the World bundle, right? For most people, that would be around £35, maybe even, roughly around that amount to get their hands on the Save the World bundle so they can play the PvE content just to get their V-Bucks, right? And then only to find out that that very mode is going free to play, even though they're telling people that they are struggling financially and they need us to help them by raising prices. You can see why the confusion exists to a lot of people and why gamers are looking at this like, how does this make sense? But then on top of that, they've also said that current players are going to receive supercharges, vouchers, and gold when it goes free to play on the 16th of April. They do mention that the founder members of Save the World will still get to earn V-Bucks through daily quests, mission alerts, storm shield defenses missions, and existing challenges. So you will still be able to earn V-Bucks despite the fact that it's going free to play, even though they've cancelled the purchases of Save the World now that it's gone free to play, or it's planning to go to free to play. They've got a whole pre-register, by the way. And they do say if they get 1,000 players pre-registering, then you will get a skin to celebrate the launch of Save the World when it goes free to play on the 16th of April. So that's actually not bad. But either way, at the same time, you can understand why players who brought the Save the World Founders Pack are obviously rightfully feeling a bit, they just feel a bit, I guess they're feeling a bit like, why are you making it free to play after they obviously going to feel very betrayed by the fact that Epic would make this decision without warning them, which I can see why a lot of players would be upset about the fact that, well, I mean, of course, there's going to be a lot of players who will be praising the whole free-to-play release of Save the World, but there'll be some that feel that they spent all that money to get Save the World when they could have just waited until April this year just to get the free-to-play option, because, you know, they didn't even know this was part of the plan within Fortnite. They never thought that it would go free-to-play. That's why they purchased it. If they were told in advance that this was going to go free to play at some point, then at least or potentially within the next year, at least that would prevent them from paying, so they know, okay, I could just wait till the free to play option, so then at least I'll have access to the Save the World then. Because they didn't give them a timeline of when it will go free to play, this is why there's been a lot of mixed reception towards this, because it made it very clear to players how the free to, that you were going to make this free to play. You just kind of dropped it out of nowhere, and I guess accept the fact that you made this decision without telling the paid customers that you were doing this. It's just, but yes, that's pretty much how players are feeling about Fortnite, and pretty much all the stuff that's come out recently about Fortnite. The fact that Fortnite is receiving these price increases for V-Bucks, and that Save the World is going to be free to play, which, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy to see that Save the World will be free to play and I'll get to play it. But at the same time, I do kind of feel for people who have paid like what, £35 to get access to this thing. But at the same time, I will admit the Vbucks price increase does kind of suck. It does suck that we have to go through these situations in gaming where certain parts of our favorite things that we love within our games, especially live service games, are going up in price for the sake of keeping live services alive. But at the same time, it's just, I feel like this is going to make things even more difficult I feel like it's going to make things a little bit more tricky for a majority of players to be able to afford certain things in the item shop because, I guess the UK will have the same price models, but especially in the States, it's not going to be very easy because now you're making things expensive in the States to the point that now you're going to have a lot of people having to revert to buying gift cards rather than buying V-Bucks outright in the game because they're going to feel that it's a lot more beneficial to do that in order to get the V-Bucks in the game because for many, they're not going to be able to afford the new prices. They're not going to be able to afford the new models. And I can definitely see a lot of younger players obviously getting very frustrated that they can't buy skins anymore, or they're going to struggle to buy as many skins as they usually get, meaning that they're now going to have a very hard time trying to basically get the right amount of money to be able to pay for those skins that they really want to get. And it's just, they're going to have to resolve eventually. We're going to have to get to a solution to this problem eventually because they can't expect us to believe that this is what players want. Like, I get that, Fortnite is becoming more and more expensive. I get that. But at the same time, if it's because of the casual players leaving, why don't you just admit that? Why don't you just admit the reason why you're making things expensive in the for V-Bucks is mainly because of the casual players not engaging in your game anymore. And the reason why is because, well, here's another reason why people are not engaging, because of the terrible matchmaking that has been bothering people for so long. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, the matchmaking has been an absolute mess since Shock and Awesome. I don't know what they've done with the matchmaking, but it definitely feels like they've been having less employees working on Fortnite to the point that the matchmaking's gotten to a point where you're now consistently facing competitive and sweaty players nearly every match now, to the point that when you're trying to match with your friends, you're facing higher level players when you shouldn't be facing them, and yet for some reason they've got an advantage because they're a higher level compared to you when you should be matching people who are a similar level to you. And it's just, that's another reason why a lot of these casuals are upset, because anytime they want to play with their friends, they have to go through seriously sweaty players just to be able to enjoy the game. And they don't want to feel like a sweaty person. They want a sweaty player. They want to feel like a casual player, which is what casual players like doing, being casual, not being a sweaty player, just because they're having to take on a sweaty player due to the game's matchmaking forcing them to be that way. And it just sucks. It really sucks, the whole situation. And I'm hoping that, they're going to resolve the matchmaking eventually, because, whatever they've done with the matchmaking, there's certainly some issues they need to address. And I'm hoping that, that is going to be one of the things they're going to talk about this week, is that how they're going to deal with the matchmaking issues so that we can finally have match with people that are a similar skill, instead of people who are way above our skill to the point that you basically cannot beat them because they're that tough. They're that. Yeah, I just hope that this message can go through to Epic, really, so then we can see improvements with the matchmaking, so then casual players have a reason to come back. Because right now, the only way you're going to bring them back is if you resolve the matchmaking issue and you make the game more fun again, because if you don't, then some of my friends are not going to return. They're going to give up on playing the game eventually, to the point that they don't want to play the game anymore. They don't want to engage with it because it's too stressful. Keep having to call this out, but I feel like we have to in order to see improvements happen in the game, because that's the only way Epic is going to learn, is if and it makes it obvious, because I even put, because of the videos I did about the cheetah situation, turns out that those lobbies are becoming slightly less laggy, even though they're still laggy in areas. It is sort of a somewhat of an improvement. It's still got a long way to go until it fully improves itself. I'm hoping we'll gradually get there. We just need to keep encouraging and pressuring Epic to do better, so then hopefully we'll get basically a better results going forward, so then we can finally resolve all these issues, so then maybe casual players might come back if they are resolved. I will see you guys in another gaming video. So I've got some videos on Black Ops 7 to come up, and I'm also probably going to have some videos on Power Wash Simulator 1 as well, and hopefully Power Wash Simulator 2 at some point. And also we're going to have some Animal Crossing videos going out as well, so that's going to be really fun. Yeah, so we'll hopefully have some Switch 2, Xbox, and PlayStation content to come. So look out for that, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.